You are about to be locked inside the Stingray Show, and coming up on this edition, we are going to be talking about the shocker of the postseason in college baseball as the Murray State Racers come in to the Omaha and the College World Series with a record of 45-15 on the year. They got through the Oxford Regional, and then they got through the Duke Super Regional to make it all the way to Omaha. We will be joined by the play by play guy for Murray State on this edition of the Stingray Show. And with that, we want to welcome you inside the Thursday evening edition of the Stingray Show right here on Tide 100.9. And I left this little bit out on the top of the show about Murray State in neutral site games, which is where they're going to be in Omaha. They are 11 wins to 2 losses. What an amazing run that Murray State has been on since getting into the regional and super regional field. Like I said, running through the Oxford Regional when everybody thought that Ole Miss would be going back to Omaha.
Well, I don't know if everyone thought Ole Miss was going to go back to Omaha, but they had the road and the path set up for them. And looking at, Stephen, we've said it. I've said it for years. I've said it almost every day on the show for the past month. Mm-hmm. The road to Omaha is not easy for anyone. There is not an easy path for all 64 teams. Mm-hmm. No team has an easy. Now, do some have it a little bit easier than others? A tad bit, but it's still not easy.
Right.
It's very difficult to make it to Omaha, Nebraska. And, buddy, we are here. Opening ceremonies are going to be kicked off here shortly. And we'll start playing baseball here this weekend. Cannot wait. That's why we watch, Stephen.
That's right. And Murray State will open up their NCAA College World Series for the very first time on Saturday against UCLA. And to talk about this amazing run that Murray State, the Racers, are on, we are about to be joined by the radio voice for the Racers in hoops, football, and baseball. Please help us welcome to the Stingray Show, Mr. Jeff Bidwell. Jeff, what an amazing run the Racers have been on in the postseason baseball.
I was talking with Danny Cannell on his show yesterday. It's amazing how popular I've been around the country here the last 48 hours or so. That it is just an absolutely the phrase I just, it was shocking, it's stunning, and it's all the best ways. It's just, this was an absolute. You had no inkling that this was coming. I mean, you didn't know this was coming. I mean, the team is in Omaha, and I think there's a lot of us still that are like, is this for real? Because this wasn't even in your wildest dreams something that you would think could be done. I mean, there's just no historical precedent for it with this program. The last time they were in a regional was 2003, and back when I did local TV here in West Kentucky, I made the very long drive down to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and sweated every part of me off at Southern Miss as the Racers went. At the time, they were still the Thoroughbreds. They went 0-2, and it was quick and done. I mean, that was 22 years ago. I mean, that's it. I mean, it's a fourth regional ever. I mean, listen, a week ago, this team made the Super Regional, and there were discussions going around saying that making the Super Regional was the greatest athletic accomplishment ever at Murray State Athletics.
Yes.
We just had a week later have to completely reset the entire bar. It has just been, it's been unbelievable.
And Jeff, you guys on the Friday night of the regional in Oxford won your first regional game in the postseason since '79. Talk about that, please.
Look, I mean, again, it's just, did that happen? And it was like you're playing Ole Miss. You're playing in a hostile environment, as we all know. I mean, SEC baseball is a different animal than everybody else in the country for the most part has to deal with. And you go down in there, and the Racers just took it to them, and and they won, and it was just like, holy cow. And it's almost at that point where I think as fans we looked at it almost as, if this is it, like that's okay. Like, we came down here, we didn't get skunked twice, and we've shown up, we let everybody know we were here. And the problem was, the problem for everybody else was the Racers weren't done in that clubhouse, and they just kept swinging the bats, and here we are.
Jeff, looking at this whole situation, fun story. My wife, when I first met, I said, "Where did you used to work?" And she said, "Where dreams come true." And I was like, "You worked in Omaha, Nebraska?" She goes, "No, I worked at Disney World." But and that's where our worlds collided.
Yeah.
Here is the great story. And, we've seen many teams before, college, pro, whatever. There's always this great story, the Cinderella story, and it doesn't last forever. It's a flash in the pan, but everyone falls in love with it and they remember it.
Yeah.
With that being said, what are you going to remember most about this team?
I think the thing that I've learned in the last 2 weeks is not to box yourself in.
Yeah.
In the fact that this morning, as we talk, I'm not sure I've seen the most memorable thing that's happened yet for this Murray State baseball program. And I think that's the part that is so incredibly exciting, just to know that it's all still in front of us. And, could they go over there, go 0-2 and be done 100%?
Yeah.
But I think the part that has been so encouraging, I guess, is they're going into now, the deepest of waters now, and trying to win a national championship, which is just, and I'm smiling saying that because it's like, it's just surreal in itself. But this team can swing the bats. And I've said more than once, if they can get any semblance of pitching, that they can go put 10 on the board. They can go put 15 on the board. You go talk to Duke, they can go put 19 on the board, that they can score. And so they've got a puncher's chance in this thing to make some noise. And that's why I really believe that the best has not happened. To dance around your question and not to not answer it, but that is the part that I think is so special with this bunch.
And Jeff, let's go on ahead and talk about the facilities for Murray State, because there are some pictures that are swirling around on social media that the biggest crowd that Murray State had at home this year was 800 fans. Talk about the facilities up there at Murray State.
Well, I think the main thing there is, I think capacity is 800 people. I don't know if we actually had 800 people at any game this year. Look, this is the story this week.
Right.
This is, and it's been interesting to kind of watch I've spent enough time in the media, and I understand the sort of low hanging fruit of stories at times of, well, this is great, and we're just gonna gnaw on this bone until there's nothing left. And so now we are on day 3 of this with the national part, and I understand it. It's like, look, when you look at just the strict numbers of it, there were 64 teams in this tournament. Murray State, from a budget standpoint, was 62nd. I mean, like, they just, from a budget standpoint, that's it. And a lot of that is just simply, look, 3 years ago, we were in the Ohio Valley Conference,
right?
Which, the Ohio Valley to the Missouri Valley is light years. And so there is a process of allocation of resources, and that's to every athletic program that we have, that it is, trying to step up and trying to better everything. And whether that is, it's salaries. Now you're in this NIL world, you're trying to upgrade facilities and all of that. And so it is a process. But yes, I mean, look, that process is happening at baseball. It just hasn't necessarily gotten to that point yet where it is where everybody wants it to be. But it is a wonderful part of the story. If you are able from a Murray State side to sort of still maintain some level of, I don't know if a sense of humor is the right phrase for it, but I mean, I think there's starting to be a little bit of bristling, like, like there's almost this narrative that we play, we don't even have shoes to wear when we play. It's not that bad over here,
Right.
folks. It's just, look, we don't play. We're not like Ole Miss where we play in a 13,000 seat stadium that, that the freaking Rockies could play in if they wanted to. Like, we don't have a lot of bells and whistles, and that's fine. We got a field, we got 4 bases, we got 2 dugouts, and we got a team that'll come in here and just whoop you if you want. So that I think is I'm hoping that narrative sort of can shift here as the days go on. Hey, it's great. Our field doesn't look fancy. Hey, yeah, you know what? Once in a while, our coach may hop on the mower and cut the grass. Fine.
Right.
But we're a mid-major school. It's an all hands on deck situation that we're all helping everybody. We don't have a bunch of extra bodies laying around from a staffing standpoint and such, that we're trying to make this thing work. And right now, it's working.
Yeah.
And the reason it's working is because you got a head coach in Dan Skirka and his staff and a bunch of dudes that are just going to walk in there and take your lunch money if you're not paying attention.
And Jeff just asked Ole Miss and Duke how well it's working.
100%. And Georgia Tech too. Georgia Tech was mad they didn't get to host a regional, and Murray State beat them too. So it is just, I'm hoping, again, we're going to have this early. And now that they're there and you get another wave of national folks, and they're going to bring up the pictures and the coach cutting the grass and all that stuff again, and the team pulling the tarp. Like, Murray State's not the only team in America whose players pull the tarp at a home game. Like, it's just, it's not the case. But again, it's not a Cadillac school, and they may not do that at Ole Miss. They may not do that at LSU and Arkansas. And they've got all kinds of people that are just out there, cutting the grass with scissors. That may be fine. But I'm hoping that, all right, let's get that out of the way, and let's focus on the fact that, this is a great underdog story because they have absolutely maxed out with the least amount of bells and whistles of anybody that's standing left in this tournament right now. And they're just not happy to be here. They're here to win some games and try to stick around for as long as possible.
Yes.
Jeff, a fun question, and then we're going to get to all the positives. This will be the last negative question for me. I'm sure Steven's got 2 trillion negative questions, but I'll have one more.
No.
But Tanner Allen, the National College Baseball Player of the Year a couple of years ago, back in 2021, he was on that Mississippi State team. He was the captain of that team that won the national championship. He put out a tweet after you guys won and beat Duke and punched your ticket to Omaha and said, I wonder what their NIL purse is like. What's in the coffers of the NIL? And my first thought, and this wasn't a negative thought, I was like, I would be shocked if they had much, if any, in baseball. Basketball, yeah, I'm sure they've got some. Football, I'm sure they got some. Baseball, I don't know if they've got anything left over. If you had to guess, we won't ask a specific player or amount.
Yeah.
If you had to guess what's in the NFL NIL coffers, what would you guess?
I would say it is somewhere in the neighborhood of $0.00.
That's what I was thinking.
If I had to of actual NIL money, we've got things. There's this Alston grant. Like there's money that that it's sort of a cost of attendance, some type of stipend, basically. But actual NIL, good Lord, no. Just no, that we just don't have it. Really don't have it for any sport right now outside of men's basketball, and a lot of that has been, look, this is still very new, and from a. And golly, the goalposts have changed. They just move every day with this whole thing, and now into the House settlement with revenue sharing and all that. But it's when this thing really started in the 22-23 season, like, we didn't have even really NIL infrastructure, and so we didn't have basketball had barely any money, and then 23-24 we were starting to get some infrastructure. Basketball had a little bit of money, and then 24-25 is like, all right, we finally got going, and basketball's finally got something. But again, that was men's basketball. Women's basketball had essentially nothing, and baseball nothing, football nothing. It's like there isn't any, and so we just don't have it, and that's where and that's it's part of it's kind of part of the unfortunate part of the current landscape from a the traditionalist sense, not from the kid standpoint. They got to do what they've got to do. But, it's like, this is it, in a lot of ways with this team, because it's like, look, they have maxed out. They have shown on the big stage how good so many of them are. We're very senior laden, but for kids to come back, it's like they may not come back because they may get offers to go play somewhere. Because there's been a lot of big schools that have had ringside seats to getting their tails kicked for the last couple of weeks. It might be like, well, we might like that guy, and so maybe we can make this work. But yeah, no, that is 100%. No.
If you had to guess what was the largest crowd this season at home, what would you guess?
I mean, a couple hundred probably. I mean, it's just, it's a neat the stadium is tucked right in the middle. It's sort of an accidental I say an accidental, but I'm sure there was some thought put behind it. It's almost like an accidental complex where there's just this road that runs. It connects two roads in town, and two of the bigger roads. And it's like to the right you have the basketball arena, and then the softball field, and then to the left you have the football stadium, and then the baseball field's kind of tucked right in there. But it's kind of this heavy traffic area where kids are walking to class and wherever. And so, and they just come in and pop a seat on the hill and check out some baseball in the middle of the afternoon. So, and the weather's not always awesome here in Murray either, in the February, March, April. It takes a little while for the sun to come out and actually get warm. So that's also a part of it. But yeah, look, we don't play. I mean, 100% we're playing in front of the largest crowds that we have seen all year by a lot. And it's just going to get bigger this weekend in Omaha.
So, Jeff, I do have a question, and I know I'm probably putting the cart before the horse, but you guys are.
Do I have my national championship T-shirt? Yes, I do. That's what you asked. Okay.
I love it. Right. I love it.
Go ahead.
You guys are in the state of Kentucky.
Yes.
There is another Kentucky team up there in Omaha.
Yes.
What would that do for the state of Kentucky and for the national scene for Murray State to lock up with Louisville, please?
I mean, I think it'd be awesome. I mean, I think it would. It's interesting that it's an interesting dynamic in the state, and I think from a just geographic standpoint. I mean, Lexington and Louisville, right in the heart of the state, and those two schools, would happily just blow the other one up if they could, their athletic departments. I mean, that is just as fierce as anything in the country.
Yes.
We are tucked way over on the far west side of the state. And I don't think anybody from those two big brands, we're kind of the little brother. That's how they look at us, but they don't look at us with like antagonizingly, if you will. Like they're just like, oh, well, good for Murray State. And I look back to and this is now, gosh, it feels like yesterday in a lot of ways, 2012. And Murray State's basketball team that year they were number 7 in the country. And that was the year we went 31-2. Dick Vitale came to Murray State and was dancing. And it was like, we started the year 23-0, got up to number 7 in the country.
Yeah.
And we ended up being a 6 seed in the tournament. And we played at the Yum Center in Louisville. Well, that year, Kentucky would win the national championship with Anthony Davis. They played on another bracket in the Yum Center as well. And we were the darlings that year and that weekend. And you have the number 1 team in the country in Kentucky. And I'm getting goosebumps talking about this right now because this is what is still in 30 years of media. This is my favorite moment that I was there to witness, that we scored with 7.5 minutes to go. Murray State's basketball program has never been to the Sweet 16.
Right.
And this was the shot. And we're playing Marquette and we scored and they call timeout and we're up 5 with 7.5 minutes to go. And you just thought, oh my God, this is happening. And that crowd was 90% wearing Kentucky blue. And they came to their feet in a roar that I will just, again, the goosebumps right now. And I was like, they embraced it.
Right.
Like this was, you're ours. You are ours. And if we somehow get to that championship series and we play Louisville, I'm telling you, the Big Blue Nation is going to embrace the Racer Nation.
Yes.
They are not going to be rooting for Louisville whatsoever.
Right.
It would be a massive, massive deal here, I think, in the state.
Right.
And certainly, we've got local kids from here in West Kentucky that play for Louisville. And, Justin West, one of their pitchers that closed out the game there, he's great. And so it would be awesome. I don't know if the other 49 states care. I wouldn't give any two craps about those 49 states. Here in the Commonwealth, it would be the biggest thing, and it would be for anybody. Look, if we make it to the national championship series and lose, there anybody feeling bad in Murray, Kentucky about that?
No.
So, yeah, very long-winded answer too. It would be awesome. It would be awesome.
Jeff, I noticed Chris Lamonis, the former Mississippi State baseball coach and Indiana baseball coach, did an interview with Baseball America yesterday, and he was talking about the crowds in Omaha. And he easily said, he goes, the SEC environments are more intimidating, whether it be an SEC play or in postseason play than Omaha. He said, now the crowd's bigger in Omaha, but it's not on top of you, and it's just not thirsting for your blood like it is at an SEC school. And, going to Omaha 3 different times and sitting with the locals, talking to the locals all 3 times, the locals love the Cinderella story.
Yeah.
And the locals will always pull. Doesn't matter what game it is. Every single game, the locals will pull for the smaller school. So, it's one of those things where if you had Ole Miss and Murray State playing, they would all pull for Murray State. If Ole Miss was playing big bad UCLA, they would pull for Ole Miss because Ole Miss is the smaller school. Murray State's by far the smaller school there, school there, and the best story going. I don't think you've already been in a hostile environment at Oxford. You were in a hostile environment there when you played against Duke. Are they going to be able to just sit back and smile and take it all in with everyone cheering them? Because, there's going to be 20,000 fans all in support of the Racers, and it is going to be awesome. Are they just going to roll with the punches and are they playing with house money right now coming into this game? Or is that going to shock them a little bit because they've been us against the world the whole time?
We've been playing with house money for weeks at this point. And,
there you go.
But it's not a whatever happens. They're there to win. There is no question about that. But just from the house money portion of the argument is just the results are important, but they are not going to impact how they finish is not going to impact this run. Right. And when it is looked back on with some perspective, I think of as you described it, and this is, I have been blessed in my job over the last 25 years to pretty much go to every major sporting event and cover that in the country. The only things I haven't done is I haven't gone to a Super Bowl, I haven't been to the Ryder Cup, and I haven't been to the College World Series. So I am over the moon about getting a chance to go to this and to go back again through a basketball prism. You see it when this is almost a first round NCAA tournament game with it's a 14 against a 3 seed where, hey, the 3 seeds got their fans and the 4 seeds got their fans, but 80% of the crowd is just there to watch some basketball. Yeah. And certainly if the little guy hangs around a little bit, well, those 80% now have a rooting interest. And so I think that, in this instance, that's going to be the case that, UCLA is going to have their pocket of fans there, certainly. But if you're not wearing Racer blue and you're not wearing, Bruin baby blue, you're rooting for the Racers. And that's just, that's going to be awesome. I think the moment, and it was in the championship game against Duke down in the Super Regional. And, we got up 5-3, we're down 3-2, we get up 5-3, and you're just trying to scratch out those last couple of outs. And Murray's pitching coach in a tight spot, I think it's 5-4 at that point, might even have been in the bottom of the 9th, and he comes out to just kind of have it. All right, let's settle down. Let's get some outs. And it just reminded me in this weird way of one of my favorite movies ever, of Bull Durham, of when the pitching coach comes out and they're talking about candlesticks and cutting the heads off chickens and whatever. But he walks out and there's you've got the pitcher, the catcher, the 4 infielders, and somebody said something and everybody's smiling and joking. And I was like, this is the highest leverage spot of your lives. And everybody's just chuckling their way through this thing right now. That's when I was like, they're good. they're going to be fine. And that's where you play in Oxford in that wild atmosphere. You go to Duke, which admittedly is not Oxford in terms of an atmosphere. And Murray had a great crowd down there, but you're going to go play in this animal in Omaha. There is nothing. There is not an ounce of a gorilla on their back with this whole thing. They are loose. They are confident. And I think they are going to soak up every minute and give it one hell of a run.
And Jeff, I hate to keep bringing this back up, but this is such an amazing story. You guys had not won a tournament game since 1979. Talk about the mentality of this baseball team of Murray State when they got the draw to go to Oxford, and then after getting their first win on that Friday night.
I think it is, this team has known they were very good. They were, I think you go back all the way to, February. I think they started the year 7-0, 8-0, something like that. I mean, they were, that list of last unbeatens, they were on it as it got smaller and smaller. And
right.
Look, they didn't, they weren't going out and beating Clemson, but at the same time, it's like, all right, we've won games and we're building some confidence and we're getting, into the conference season and that kind of just snowballs. And then you tie for a regular season championship. Now you're into the Missouri Valley tournament and you look up and you're like, man, they won 44 games. It's like they have been good all year. I mean, and it's the part of the Cinderella story of the nation is now paying attention.
Right.
But this team has known they've been very good for a while. It was just a matter of, when the lights came on brightest, were they going to be able to pay that off? And, it's funny looking back and, their first and how this whole thing could have been derailed really before it even started was, their first game in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament was an 11-inning game against Belmont that they lost, or they won 15-14. I mean, just got into a slugfest and were able to win. It's like, well, you lose that, now you're in the loser's bracket, and who knows what's coming out of there. And it's like, and so, all right, we got through and we've won the tournament and now we're in. And again, I think just from the historical standpoint of, not being in a regional since 2003, that just, I mean, these kids weren't even alive at that point. The last time the Breads at the time were in it, and now the Racers. And so to win a game, I mean, I think if you had stopped, if the movie ended with a 9-6 win over Ole Miss on that Friday night, I guess, down in Oxford, it's a success.
Yes.
It's a success. It's like this is 46 years in the making. Like we have done it. And then, oh my Lord, we just beat Georgia Tech too the next night. And then, and now, like I said, we had open conversations after the regional win at Ole Miss, and to get to a super regional, that this was now on, the overplayed Mount Rushmore. But I was like, of the Mount Rushmore of Murray State athletic accomplishments, this team making a super regional is in that conversation. And then to have to completely flip that frame of reference a week later and go, yeah, they're not only on the Mount Rushmore, I'm like, they're number one with a bullet right now with what they have done. And so they are in this thing to win it, man. I'm telling you, they are so confident and loose, and there is not one tight bone in any of these guys' bodies. And they love, they have thrived in the spotlight, and certainly the spotlight is never going to be bigger than it's going to be this week. And I just expect, I don't know that I expect them to win. I am hopeful they will win, but the expectation, and I don't even know it's an expectation. I know they are going to play loose. They are going to play well. And it's just going to be a matter, is it well enough?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Jeff Bidwell's our guest, the voice of the Murray State Racers. Jeff, I've been making this joke. I made it during the regional that if the Racers won the regional there in Oxford, that the head coach didn't have to take his driver's license test. He would go straight from his permit to get his driver's license. Because I thought, my gosh, this kid looks like he's 16 years old. And when I looked him up, I was like, how in the world has he been a head coach there for 8 years? And he had jobs before this.
Yes.
I was blown away. I was like, was like, okay, so he obviously already has his driver's license. So with that being said, talk about this coaching staff, and just talk about anything you like to say about these guys. We're starting to hear a lot of great stories. The head coach shared his faith a little bit. I know a lot of people ate that up and loved it. But with anything that you would like to say, because our show's about storytelling, what's something that you would like to say about this coaching staff?
Well, the first thing is that Dan Skirka, and this has been great as people have around the country starting to do the digging, doing the deep dives into the internet is forever. And from his time as a player at Grand Valley State, I saw this shared last night that his favorite class at Grand Valley State was the history of warfare. And his favorite movie was Dumb and Dumber. So, number one, with a bullet, that man is a genius on both ends of the spectrum. There, he is. Anybody that wants to make Dumb and Dumber references to me, I will follow him into hell. So, he is. Um, he's a grinder. I mean, he is that quintessential baseball dirtbag guy of just like he's been a JUCO guy coming up playing Division II, was an assistant at Murray State for several years, went over, worked at a JUCO, was an assistant over I think in the Knoxville area for a few years, comes back as a head coach, and again it's like you're taking over a program which at that point we can talk all about lack of resources and blah 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 and this and that. Well, think where it was 7 years ago when we were down 15 levels of a conference and it had no success at all. I mean, poor success in the last decade or so. And so he has built this thing up from the ground floor. And the nights of these recruiting trips, it's like, again, we talk about budgets. There's not a lot of budgets for recruiting airplane trips and hotels. And it's a lot of grinding and sleeping at rest stops and just getting these guys to play. And I think that, and you've seen it, to your point about him, looking like a kid. The thing that I am always amazed about is he looks like he can bench press a house. So as much as anything that, he's got the kid's attention anytime he wants to go in there and have a conversation with him. But Coach Skirka is a great man of faith, and he has been a great leader. And it has just been, look, again, I think it takes a unique set of guys to play and a unique leader to be able to sell to them. If you need new and shiny and bright toys, this is not the place for you.
Right.
But if you want to come here and you want to play and you want to improve and you want to develop, get drafted. I mean, we have plenty of guys get drafted out. I mean, this is not, this has not been a, just a complete waste bin of baseball talent that suddenly woke up. I mean, they are sending guys to the pros. This can be a place for you, and we will have great success together.
Right.
I will trust you, you trust me, and we will get through it. And this has it's just been the culmination of all of it in this perfect harmony here these last couple of weeks.
So, Jeff, we have danced around it the entire show. We've talked about the goods of Murray State. Now let's dive into the matchup. Their first game ever at the College World Series will be Saturday against the Bruins of UCLA. If you would, Jeff, break down that game for us.
Well, to be fair, on the UCLA end, I have not. Today is prep day, so I haven't gotten to do a whole lot of work with the Bruins yet. I think as we talked about from earlier on here in the program, is that the Racer bats have just been electric, especially here in the postseason. From at the top of the order. Jonathan Hogart has made himself a boatload of money. He's a Madisonville, Kentucky kid, about an hour away from Murray. And if memory serves, I think he was at Louisiana Tech for a cup of coffee, and now he has come back home. And he has he owned ESPN for the last couple of weeks, where it was just, hey, the leadoff hitter's up again. And, he just hit another first pitch home run. I think he leads the country. I think it's 8 or 9 leadoff home runs to lead off a game this season. I mean, he hit 8 home runs so far here in the postseason. He has been absolutely electric. But then you look up and down, and they have of the guys that have been in the starting lineup. I mean, they have 7 guys that have double-digit runs batted in here this postseason. So it is up and down the lineup that these guys can rake. The part that is I say worrisome, but I mean, I think it's the Achilles heel, if there is one, is just it's the pitching. You just worry that you have enough arms, and that's probably, we can talk about budgets, we can talk about this and NIL and all that and the other. The depth of Missouri Valley pitching against Big Ten pitching, SEC pitching, it's just not the same, and that's where you get into, especially as this thing drags on a little bit and you get deeper into the tournament, you get a little concerned of, are we going to have enough arms?
Yeah.
And every time I've had that worry, especially here in the last 3 weeks, they're like, Mr. Bidwell, we would ask you to kindly shut up because we're fine over here, and they get the outs when they need it. So, you look at the starting rotation, and I don't know who's getting the game 1 nod yet. Isaac Silva, Nick Shuddy, Kane Elmy going. I mean, the ERAs so far in the postseason, it's like, Silva's at 9.82, Shuddy's at 9. I mean, those are obviously big numbers, but they've got a lot of guys that he will go to in the pen, and Skirka's not going to, I'm not going to just sit out there and let you die on the vine. I mean, like, it's not working, we're going to get you out, and we're going to get somebody else in there and try to put the fire out. The part that coming out of the bullpen and has been Graham Kellum, he has been electric. I mean, he's had 4 saves. The last 2 games against Duke, game 2 and game 3, and the 2 wins for the Racers, basically went, 3 innings to get the saves at the end. I mean, they were just like, buddy, I know you're on fumes. We need you to get there. And he's the one, with 6 appearances, 16 innings in the postseason with a 2.81. I mean, he's the guy. If they can get to him, things are in really good shape for the Racers. So it's just, the pitching has been good enough. And look, I don't even want this to be a Murray State problem, because it's college baseball. I mean, it's like nobody has pitching in college baseball. That's part of it, because the best pitchers never went to college and they've moved on. So, I mean, it's a hitter's game. And if there is one thing, as I've said probably too many times here with you guys today, it's just the Racers can rake, and that they can hit. And that is an absolute puncher's chance of, but it's like when you're playing it, you got Ole Miss on the ropes there in the elimination game, and what it's 12-3, and then suddenly you look up and it's 12-11. You're just hanging on for dear life. It's just, is there enough pitching? And if there is, the Racers are going to stick around Omaha for a while.
Tony Vitello there at Tennessee, when he took his first trip as head coach of Tennessee, he built his brand on long ball, let's rake, let's hit. And then he got to that big ballpark in Omaha, and a lot of home run balls fall very short there in Omaha. That's a big, big park. Sometimes the wind's blowing in. And Tony in his first year went 0-2, was the first team out in Omaha, and he reset his team and this and that and went that route. Do you think that, there's a difference between singles hitters and home run hitters? You might want a team of a bunch of gappers and singles hitters in Omaha because that plays anywhere. But is that a situation that you think of watching Murray State all season long? Are they strictly live and die by the long ball, back like the Gorilla Ball days? Or is this a team that they're going to nickel and dime you to death, hit it in the gap, pull one down the line, single hitter, Texas League singles, Baltimore chops, and get on base? What do you think this lineup can do in a big ballpark like Omaha?
11 postseason games, they've hit 20 home runs. 11 postseason games, they have 32 doubles. There has not been a guy that has come to the plate in the postseason that has not hit a double. Dustin Mercer has 9 of them. They can find the gaps and they will be fine. So that does not concern me at all. As long as it's not just balls hanging up in the air and fellas are able to chase them down. But they are gap hitters, and they have shown that they can most certainly thrive in an atmosphere where hitting the ball out of the park is not really an option.
So, Jeff, this has been an absolute blast. I was looking on my phone just a little bit ago to see if Murray State basketball was playing any SEC teams this year, and so far I haven't seen anything. Do you know if they're playing any SEC teams?
Off the top of my head, no, not
Okay.
yet. We still have a few games left to fill.
Okay.
No, we are playing. We have a home and home return game at SMU. I know
Okay.
we're going to the Cayman Islands, and there's a few mid-major teams in that. I know we're going to Vegas to play Akron. I don't believe there's any SEC schools on the docket as
Okay.
yet. But one quick before we wrap up, the Murray State basketball tie in here. And I don't know. We're reaching for destiny at this point on some level, but
Right.
Murray State has a new men's basketball coach.
Yes.
His name is Ryan Miller, whose brother Mike was obviously the great player of Florida, went to the NBA. And Ryan Miller spent the last 4 seasons as the associate head coach at Creighton University,
Yeah.
which happens to be located in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a big old party in Omaha this
Yeah.
week, and Coach Miller and his general manager Ernie Kuiper own a sports bar there in Omaha, which is going to be a home base for Racer headquarters for the next week. So I was like, you're kind of just connecting breadcrumbs, and you're like, unbelievable that
Yeah.
this guy comes from Creighton, and then, oh, by the way, hey buddy, can you show us around town, because we're going to be hanging out for hopefully a week and a half up there. So
I'm going to turn this into a Seinfeld episode, Jeff. You mentioned Ron Miller and his brother Mike Miller, played for the Memphis Grizzlies, coached for Penny Hardaway at University of Memphis. I actually have a Mike Miller story. Stephen, you can leave this in for the podcast or the radio show, either or. But we were at a bar, a sports bar called the Fox and Hound. It was middle of the day. We were all catching up. It was a Friday. I was in television myself. Memphis is home. Came back home, seeing some old buddies from high school, guys I played baseball with. And we were sitting there. And here comes Mike Miller walking into the Fox and Hound. And it's funny because all the kids now wear hoodies year round, but back in the early 2000s, that was a very odd thing to do, is walk around in a hoodie, especially in the sweltering heat of August in Memphis, Tennessee, where, the heat index is 111.
Yeah.
So we're in there. And of course, Mike Miller is going to stand out. He's tall as the weather.
Yeah.
And, he just stands out. So, anyway, we're in there. We're not bothering him. We're doing our own thing. Like, oh, look, it's Mike Miller. Like, oh, what's he doing here in the middle of the day? So anyway, he got to the table next to us, and we had the same waitress. The waitress walks up, turns around, she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're tall." And Mike says, "Yeah, I've heard that before." And she goes, "You should play basketball or something." And of course, we kind of snickered. And he goes, "Yeah, I'll keep that in mind." She goes, "Hey, I heard you could play for the Grizzlies. They're terrible. No one is good for the Grizzlies." Of course, we all lost it. And Mike lost it, and he had a laugh with us, and we ended up playing some pool with him later that day. But, yeah, Mike Miller is a very well-known person here in the city of Memphis, where I'm located, and very well respected. With all of that being said, Jeff, we talked about it. We've beaten the dead thoroughbred horse of the Racers here on this one. This is just the greatest story in sports right now. And I think everybody in America is pulling for the Racers. Everyone's enjoying it. With that being said, what is the most ideal scenario of this guy? Obviously, winning is the most ideal. But what is the most ideal scenario for these guys in Omaha?
got to beat UCLA.
Yeah.
I just think that is I think that is huge. Because look, on the other side, as there have been some fortuitous forks in the road with this tournament. As they put the regionals together, we very easily could have been a number 4 seed in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and played the number 3 team in the country. And instead, they sent us to Ole Miss. We very well could have played a super regional at Georgia, but Duke upset them. And so we got a chance to play Duke. And now, playing, which I think the number 15 team in UCLA, we're missing out number 3, Arkansas, number 6 LSU in the opening round, and we don't play them until the second. So I think that you've got to throw your best. You got to do everything you can to win this first game. And then, but it's like, boy, if you lose it, now you're playing a desperate LSU or Arkansas team trying to stay alive. And that's going to be a challenge. So I certainly think that get the first one. And then, for the 10th time in the last 3 weeks, we're playing with house money, and we'll see how, it all shakes out. I think the part about the story and being in the media as long as I have, and you guys have, and being a part of it, on the basketball side as the Cinderellas, and seeing, Cinderellas work their way through the tournament, is you are a story while you are there.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get beat, everybody goes, "Oh man, you guys did great." And then you're gone. And they forget you ever existed. And in a lot of ways, it's just life. Life moves on, and these tournaments move on, and they will now focus, okay, that was a great story, but now we got the 4 best teams in the country playing, and we're only going to pay attention to that.
Right.
The whole thing for me is, how long can they wedge their way in that, like, you're not getting rid of us. You have not been able to get rid of us so far, and we are going to stick around and try to shock some folks. And the part is that it'll shock the country, it'll shock the baseball community. It's not going to shock these guys in the clubhouse if they're able to go beat UCLA and beat LSU and or Arkansas and keep playing along and from my lips to God's ears, somehow get to a championship series against whoever's waiting on the other side. So it has been great. But I just get the first one. Get the first one, and then we'll say it's house money, and then you can get the next one and go, well, now we're back to house money, and we'll just keep chipping away and chopping wood and see if we can knock this whole tree down.
Jeff, I'm going to go put the LSU Arkansas game on the prayer list at church when we get done. Make sure they play like at least 21 innings that opening round.
That'd be great. That'd be great. And really, and I don't know, in the end, it's helpful to the racers. It's helpful to everybody, that we play Saturday. Sunday's an off day. And
right.
So it's really, you can empty the tank. There's no real strategy on Saturday other than you have to get 27 outs.
Yeah.
And whatever you got to do, get them. And then everybody can just go sit in the cold tub on Sunday, and then we'll figure everything out again on Monday. I mean, it's game 7. Every day is game 7. And I think that's the way that, Coach Skirka is not playing for tomorrow. He's just playing for today. And that's going to be, that's gotten us to where we are so far. And just, man, super excited to watch this thing play out.
So, Jeff, you definitely have some racer fans here in Stingray and Heath Hopkins. Good luck to the racers up there in Omaha. And hey, we would love to catch up with you next week if Murray State is still up there at the College World Series. And we would love to catch up with you during the basketball season if Murray State picks up an SEC basketball team.
Stingray, I don't like all the ifs. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you.
I'm with you, Jeff.
I punctuated that if. I'll have operators standing by. I'll be waiting for your call.
All right, let me do this. When Murray,
there you go.
There it is, Stephen. There it is.
Listen, I mean, I got parade routes over here already.
Yes.
For when we come home, so, we're ready to go. We are ready to go. So we'll be ready when you call. I'll be ready to take you.
Thank you.
Stephen and I won't ask to be in the parade, but if there is a national championship parade, Stephen, I'm putting this on the hook. We will be there, and we're taking Jeff out to dinner. Not all 4 of his kids, but Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. This has been awesome.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Hey, Jeff, while you're there in Omaha, make sure you eat at the Drover. It is a landmark. Everyone loves it. You cannot get a bad steak in Omaha. The Drover is like stepping back in the 70s. My favorite restaurant. Skip the salad bar, order a bigger steak. Thank me later.
We got no need for vegetables around here. Just bring me the meat. We'll do it.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, guys.
Heath, do you want to blow the college baseball world upside down? Think about this. The championship series up there, Coastal versus Murray State. Oh, my gosh.
That would be a fun final. That would be if either one of those made it, it'd be fun. But if both of them made it, oh, my gosh, that would be baseball heaven for everybody.
And none of the blue bloods or the Power 4 conferences. That would be insane.
That would be insane. I could hear all the anti-sports, terrible athletic directors like, we don't need to put money towards sports. Look what Murray State and Coastal Carolina did. I mean, we don't need all that.
No. All right, so guys, we have one segment left, and when we come back, we are going to do the National Day of Today and the National History of Today. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back to finish it up with fun talk right after this. But Heath, this whole show has been fun talking about the Cinderella story of Murray State.
Dude, it's Omaha. There's nothing, you can't not have fun. Everything is fun when it deals with Omaha, brother. Place where dreams come true.
Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Hope all is well on this fun Thursday evening. I almost said fun Friday, but it's not Friday yet. But we have had fun on the Stingray Show. And Heath, we're going to finish it up doing something that we absolutely love to do, the National Day of Today and the National History of Today. Let's go to the National Day of Today, as it is June the 12th. And today is National Jerky Day.
All right. Well, you're a jerky yourself. No. No, man. The greatest thing about Buc-ee's, in my opinion, is the beef jerky wall.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love going in there and seeing the beef jerky wall. I like beef jerky. My son loves beef jerky. I just like it. I don't always get it, but it's not a shocker if I do. But yeah, my son, every single time, straight to the jerky.
It is also National Peanut Butter Cookie Day.
Nothing wrong with that either, brother. I got a mirror. I know what I look like, and peanut butter cookies had a lot to do with it. Love some peanut butter cookies, man.
Heath, I am not a jerky fan, but I love me some peanut butter cookies.
Who doesn't love peanut butter cookies except for the people who are allergic to peanut butter? But
yeah, right. Yes. All right. Let's go to the national birthdays of today. And we actually have an Alabama native whose birthday is today, who was born on 1930 on this day. And he is well known for his iconic character of Gomer Pyle's one Jim Neighbors.
Oh, man, yeah. Gomer Pyle. Used to love watching that show as a kid. It used to come on during the summer. After cartoons would go off, that was the first thing that would come on was Gomer Pyle. I think it came on at like 8 in the morning. I think cartoons went off at 8, and that's when Gomer Pyle came on. I had to watch something until The Price is Right came on.
That's right.
But yeah, Gomer Pyle. And I know he's left us years ago, but how old would he have been today?
1930 to 2025.
So he would have been 95 today.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. All right. So let's move to 1939. On this day in history, can you tell me what opens for the first time?
Cats on Broadway. I have no clue.
The Baseball Hall of Fame.
Wow. What year?
1939. And on this day, the Baseball Hall of Fame inducted Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, and Honus Wagner.
Yeah, there's a great story about Honus Wagner. There was a rookie pitcher for the Cubs. They were playing the Cardinals, and this rookie pitcher had been red smoking hot, hadn't lost a game, threw a pitch, and caught the outside corner. He thought for a strike, and the umpire called ball, threw another pitch. It was a little low, but it was over the meat of the plate. But he thought it was definitely a strike. It was a better pitch than the first pitch, and he called it a ball. And the kid kind of threw up his arms. He's like, "Why are you squeezing it on me?" And the umpire came out from behind the plate, and he goes, "This is Mr. Wagner. He's hitting over 400. When you throw him a strike, he will let you know." So I always thought that was the greatest story.
Yeah.
Of how great of a player he was. But, yeah, man, the Baseball Hall of Fame, here's the sad thing, Steven. Pete Rose has always done, signings up there, baseball card signings, bat, balls, gloves, whatever you want to have signed, pictures. He's done it every year, Hall of Fame, and we lost Pete this year. And it looks like Pete will probably get into the Hall of Fame here shortly.
Yeah.
And it's just terrible that Pete didn't get that while he was still alive. I know that he signed a lifetime ban for baseball. He served his sentence in full. His life is now over. His band is over. He has paid his debt to the baseball. And it's just sad that he didn't get to see this day because he wanted it so bad.
So, Heath, when we move to 1981, earlier this week, we had E.T. released on in June this week. Can you tell me what other major movie was released on this day in 1981?
81.
And I will tell you, I'll give you a hint. It was directed by Steven Spielberg as well.
That's probably going to be Encounters, isn't it? Encounters of the Third Kind? No. I'm going to say it's not. Was it 81?
1981, June the 12th.
Is Harrison Ford playing in this movie?
Raiders.
Yep, there it is. I knew it.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Indiana Jones was released on this day in 1981.
Two funny things about that movie, tying it into Star Wars, and I'm not a Star Wars nerd, but the bar in that movie is known as Club Obi-Wan. And later, the plane that comes down the river to save him, the call letters on the plane, on the airplane tail, was C-3PO. So there you go.
All right. So, Heath, when we move to the national history and continue with national history, can you tell me what major event in U.S. and world history happened June the 12th of 87?
June 12th of 87?
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with Germany?
Yes.
Is it the wall?
Mr. Gorbachev,
Yep.
tear down this wall, happened on this day in 1987, given by President Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, the 40th president, Ronald Reagan, the Gipper. And wow, I actually remember that whole thing. 1987, man, 1987 was a great year. I was in 5th grade, and that was a great year for baseball. That was just a good year, period.
So, Heath, when we move to 1994, can you tell me what major event in the United States happened in 1994 on June the 12th?
I think I know this without any hints. Does it have to do with Major League Baseball?
No.
Oh, because the great strike of Major League Baseball happened in 1994. And I can't remember exactly when, but I knew it happened during the summer. They just stopped playing, and they never came back and played. Still irritates me. Still bugs me. Let's see, 1994. You know what? I think I know this one. Does it have to do with one Orenthal James Simpson?
Yes, sir. Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
This was crazy because I think Ricky Henderson set a record, Nolan Ron set a record, and I think the Bulls. No, 94, it was the Rockets. I think the Rockets won a national or the NBA title. Ricky Henderson set some kind of record, stealing like it's 1,000th bag, and Nolan Ron threw like a no-hitter. All of this stuff with OJ was going on. There's a wonderful, wonderful put together 30 for 30 talking about this date and everything that happened on it. And there's no one narrating it. There's no one talking about it. They just go from news story to news story to news story to news story of everything that happened in sports and in the world that day. And it is completely fascinating, everything that happened that day.
So Nicole Brown Simpson, O.J. Simpson's ex-wife, were brutally stabbed to death on this day in 94.
Yeah.
And I will leave it at that.
Ron Goldman. Yeah, I remember this, man.
Yeah.
I had just graduated high school in 94. And matter of fact, I think I had a baseball game scheduled that night, and it got canceled for whatever reason. And I was watching Nolan Ryan pitch when my mom called me and said, "Come in here." And I was like, "What is this?" But yeah, I remember this day vividly of exactly what I was doing.
All right. And Heath, we're going to finish it up with some more music history. Can you tell me what happened on this day of June the 12th in 2015?
June 12th, 2015. Oh, let's see, I've had kids now. I've got 2 kids. And once I started having kids, I forgot everything. All right, June 12th of 2015. Let's see, Obama's in office. I don't even think Donald Trump's announced he's running for president yet. He might have. I can't remember. June 12th, 2015. What is it? What field does it have to deal with?
You obviously don't listen. I said music.
Okay, music. Okay, so we're in music. June 12th. Oh, yeah, I won't know this because there's not an artist that I could probably name. I couldn't name you 3 artists from 2015. I don't know if I could name you one. So what is it?
The lead singer of the Foo Fighters fell off the stage and broke his leg 2 songs into a show in Sweden. He received medical attention and returned to finish the show in a temporary cast, propped up while somebody held his leg.
And I'm sure the drugs kicked in at some time. Wow.
So
Hey.
I had to bring that up because that is absolutely insane.
Yeah, that is insane. I don't know if it was painkillers or hemp or what that got him through that show, but God bless him. Hey, that's doing it for the fans, man. And you've got to deeply respect that, even if you like or don't like the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
And I do like the Foo Fighters, by the way. That would have been a fun show to go to. That would have been a little bit irritating. You paid all your money, you waited, and like, what, is the show over? Do we go home? And then he comes out and someone's holding his leg for the rest of the show. That would just be hilarious.
But they canceled the rest of that tour, but then returned after he had surgery to do a concert on the 4th of July.
I wonder how far that fall was.
No clue on that.
Wow, that's not fun, man.
No. But hey, props off to him for going through the concert like you said.
Yeah, massive props.
All right, so Heath, that is going to wrap up another fun-filled episode of the Stingray Show. There is one matchup left that we have not talked about up in Omaha, and we have saved the best for last. When we come back on the Friday evening edition of the Stingray Show, it is all going to be about the SEC matchup of Arkansas and LSU. We will be joined by Hunt Palmer from LSU to discuss the Tigers side of that matchup, and then we will be joined by Kevin Bohanna of the Arkansas side to talk about the Hogs and the Tigers in Omaha tomorrow evening, right back here on the Stingray Show at 6 p.m.
You know, we love both those guys. You know, Bohannon played a little baseball himself. Hunt's there covering LSU. And those guys know it. They know it deep. They know it all.
Yeah.
It's going to be an absolute phenomenal interview. I can promise you all that.
And Heath, we have gone all the way around all of the other matchups. We will finish it off when Omaha starts tomorrow with the matchup of the 2 teams that we cover, SEC, SEC, SEC. See you guys tomorrow night.
Hey, it just means more.
Saving the best for last. Arkansas, LSU tomorrow night on the Stingray Show.
Hey, Steven, break a leg.
No, I'm going to leave that to you, man. I got things to do.
I don't have time for a broken leg. Don't put that voodoo on me, Ricky Bobby.